Hey guys, Adam here, aka Razorblade Mango, and the fact that I'm using my first real name means that this is a special episode. It's one of the more podcast ones. Well, it is a podcast because I have a guest today as well, which is always nice. So I've mentioned in the past that I kind of wanted to do a spoiler cast of what Remains of Edith Finch. I just never really have gotten around to it until now, because we're finally going to tackle this game.
This depressing game.
Yes, this extremely I don't know. That's not fair.
Well, some of the parts.
Yes, some of them. In jest, I'd say it's depressing, but it is for me at least, a very hopeful, optimistic game as well, which we'll go into in specifics. So, with me today is Mario, who's been on the show before. I don't know why I said it like that, but he was on what have you been on? The Horizon Zero Dawn and the PlayStation Experience one.
Yeah, so after that there was the what's it? The one that you mean did a Ren on that everyone liked?
Oh,
the
fucking PSX. No. PSX 2015, I think, was the shit
The
here.
one about VR, right?
Yeah, the VR one.
And there was the what's it called? Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of them with you. But it's been since like high school? Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's been like 4 years.
For what?
Since the first one we did together.
Oh, the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was like an old ass channel that I
Yeah.
did though.
Yeah.
Old fucking channel.
Yeah.
That I don't think even exists anymore. Because
Still there, swimming somewhere.
it's I don't know. I think the channel is gone. Yeah, if you guys can find like notes reel somewhere on YouTube, that's there. That's an old podcast I used to do with someone back in the day. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about What Remains of Edith Finch, which is a game developed by Giant Sparrow, originally published by Sony, and then the story was, because I remember when this game was announced. It was like Gamescom 2014, I think. It was the same one that PT got announced at, because that was one of the better ones. So that got announced, and I remember thinking like, oh wow, this is really interesting. And they didn't show any kind of like gameplay or anything. It was just like the original voiceover that they went with, and like some of the atmospheric stuff. And I was like, okay, like it's a PlayStation exclusive, so I'm gonna assume there's something interesting to it. But I kept my eye on it for like a couple years. Didn't really hear about it. Like it was one of those PlayStation games that kind of just fell off the map for a long time. And then for whatever reason, it resurfaced in 2016 at PSX. But it wasn't developed by Sony, published by Sony anymore. It was from Annapurna Interactive. And if you guys know, if that name sounds familiar, it's the company that distributes films like Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master, the upcoming Phantom Thread. They did the Detroit movie this year, Killing Them Softly. They've done a lot of stuff, like a lot of like the art house indie shit. So now they're getting into game development, which is really interesting. And from what I understand, because I actually got to talk to some of the developers at PSX. I don't know if I talked to the director or not. I think I might have talked to Ian Dallas. I'm not 100% sure, but they were all there, and I asked them straight up. I was like, so what happened with this game? Because I remember seeing it 2 years ago, and it's only now just being re-revealed. And they said like, well, the reason was people working at Sony that had helped make the game possible left to form Annapurna Interactive, and they just like took them with them, and Sony allowed them to break away from the publishing deal so that they could be published by Annapurna. But the deal was like they had to be a PS4 console exclusive for like a couple months, I think the deal was, because it's on Xbox, I think. But it came to PC as well, which is how Mario and I played it. And did you ever play the demo at PSX?
No, there was a huge ass line. Remember?
Was there?
Yeah, there was.
I don't remember that.
Well, because remember, okay, the story took a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like about, let's see, did they have, was it 2 TVs or 1 TV?
It was. I think it was 3.
It was 3.
3
there
TVs.
Was like 4 for each. There was 4 per each one. People
Yeah.
were like wanting to play, and I'm like,
Long demo.
it was a long demo. I was like, I'm just gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah. And I waited in line for like a good 30 minutes to play it, or 30 or 40 minutes, and I was just like, all right, well, because I think it was the first day that I played it. I think it was during the Capcom Cup that I played it, because I got the chance to kind of slip in and try it out.
No, we got a chance to slip into anything because there was no lines at all. Everyone's over there.
There's still lines, but, not for like the indie stuff.
Well, we play Crash.
We did play Crash, that's true. But I played it, and it was like a good 30, 40-minute demo. And, oh, by the way, this is a spoiler cast. I do have to reiterate that. So if you've never played What Remains of Edith Finch, I highly recommend not listening to this.
Go away.
Well, go away, like in jest. Go away, play the game, because this game is much better if you have no idea what happens in it. Like, okay, even if you understand the premise, even if you've played the first 30 minutes like I did at PSX, it is much better if you don't read anything on it. Like, just play it. Trust me. Play it. It's amazing. Like, I'll just dive right in. It's the best game I've played so far this year. Like, hands down. Normally I have to kind of like do a pros and cons. Like last year I kind of had to decide between Doom and Titanfall 2. And this year I'm just like, no. What Remains of Edith Finch?
Uncharted.
Easily. Oh, Uncharted?
Uncharted. Well, yeah, because you were like doing the whole thing is like, you're like, oh, Titanfall's gonna get it. I'm like, no, Uncharted 4. Then somehow Overwatch got it.
Oh, that fucking
remember
video game awards or whatever.
Remember?
Oh, forget that. Forget
no,
that
but
shit.
remember you were like, no, Titanfall 2 is gonna get it. Titanfall 2 is gonna get it. I'm like, Uncharted 4 is gonna get it, and we're like, Overwatch. You're like, what? Overwatch? The fuck?
Overwatch is. I will admit, Overwatch. I really like Overwatch now. I don't think it's better than Uncharted 4. I don't think it's better than Titanfall 2 or Doom or Inside. I do think it's really good though.
But was it game of the year for you?
No, fuck no. I didn't even play it last year. That's the thing. I didn't even play
Everybody I knew was playing it. Everyone knew. Like Miguel was trying to convince us to get it. Remember?
Yeah. Well, that's why I finally broke down and bought it when it was on sale. And I was just like, fuck it, I'll play Overwatch. But yeah, like this year, Edith Finch easily is my game of the year so far. Unless Super Mario Odyssey comes in and like just kicks it out of the way. Which there's a very good chance that it could. Because Super Mario Odyssey looks fucking awesome. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm jealous you're getting a Switch.
Why?
Because me and Eric want to go home. We're like, well, let me see. We got bills, and how much we have left? Yeah, just enough for a week. Oh, great.
Well, I mean, I've been waiting. I didn't like up and decide that morning like I'm gonna go get a Switch. I just was like,
you've been waiting for Mario Odyssey. That's what you've been waiting for. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll play it during the whole next week for what was it? Paris Weeks?
Paris Games Week.
Paris Game Weeks. Yeah.
Yes. I gotta make a video about that as well.
But,
we should do that as a video too. Let's put that on the list for today too, if you have time. All right. So, anyway, back to Edith Finch. Trying not to go off on tangents, but that's how we are. All right. So, what was your like people know my experience with Edith Finch. Like they've seen me play the game. I've already made like a 30-minute spoiler-free video about it. What is your experience with What Remains of Edith Finch? What's your opinion on it?
Well, for one thing, I fucking knew the ending at the end when I was like, yep, I knew it. No, what I was saying is like in the ending, remember how I told you I was like, she died giving birth. I know. You're like, really?
I didn't even know she was pregnant.
No, until that one part when she's like, you look down and you're like, oh, okay. You're like, I thought she was fat.
Oh, I didn't even look down. That's the thing. Like,
Well, I was the one that looked down. I was like, oh yeah, she is pregnant.
yeah.
And you're like, oh, I thought she was fat or something.
Well, I didn't. No. I never looked down because like the way I just like I saw it, and that's so great. Like that's another thing. That's like visual storytelling. Like you can notice that way before. Like if you just bother to look down, you can see that she's probably pregnant if you look down, and it's not until like an hour into the game do they finally reveal that she's pregnant. She's like 22 weeks pregnant. And like I'm like that's great. Like that's just having that there just for the player to find out, and they don't even acknowledge it until later. Right. I don't really know how to structure this because I don't like to plan these spoiler casts. I kind of just like diving into it.
The Halloween part was my favorite.
We can go on that. That was fantastic. Like so, if you guys have played What Remains of Edith Finch, there's that bit. Yeah, I'm shocked they got the license for that.
I know.
Like the Halloween theme. When I heard that, I'm like, there is no fucking way that is the Halloween theme. And I kept listening to it, and I was like, yeah, that is. Like who owns the rights to Halloween? I was like, how is that possible that they finally like they got the rights to it? Because that's like.
I love the idea how they started doing like all the crypt stuff. Like I was like,
so
oh
cool.
my god, this is so good. And that ending was so trippy at the end. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I love like the comic panels and all that. And then you take the broom, and you can like it's the pool cue, and you can hit the boyfriend in the head, and you can actually like hit all the pool balls on the table and get them off and stuff, which is actually a trophy, by the way. And it's like that whole part was so creative, and that's one of the things I love the most about What Remains of Edith Finch is that it is a walking simulator. Like per terminology, it is a walking simulator, but it is one of those walking simulators that really goes out of its way to constantly change what it's doing so you don't get bored. Like there's like even good walking simulators I think Everybody's Gone to the Raptures is okay. And that would be even better if like the writing and the player interaction were on par with the music. But the way Edith Finch does it is that not only are you actually like a defined character in the story, you're constantly like going and doing other weird shit. Like the whole idea of you looking at your family's history and experiencing their final moments, it's like that's crazy. Like that's like how they keep like going like crazier and crazier and crazier with it. And some of them like completely ambiguous. Like you have no idea how some of them died or perished or whatever. Like the key examples, I think, like Molly, which is the demo, the one that I played with the demo where she turns into the bird and the cat and the squid and like the sea monster or whatever. The shark, yeah. And you have no idea how she like really dies. She says that like she transforms into a squid that crawls into her own room, and then she like consciously goes back to being herself, and she gets eaten by the monster. And I'm like, nah, there's no way that that's what really happened. It's same with Barbara, the Tales from the Crypt thing. It's like they mentioned that like she died getting like torn apart by her fans, and she like screamed, and like her ear got cut off and left in the music box. But you never like really know what happened to her, like really concrete. It's all this like this layer of fantasy to everything. It's like Tall Tales. It's like that movie, what's that one Tim Burton movie, Big Fish? It's like that, where it's like all of it's like really tall tales, and like by the end you know that they're tall tales, but like in the process of like the story, it's like you kind of teeter on believing it or not, and it's like you don't really know until the end. But unlike Big Fish, Edith Finch never like fully reveals its hand and tells you like, oh, this is this is what's real, this is what's not real. Like, it leaves it up to your imagination, and I think that's excellent. That's like a true respect for your audience, your players, not like spoon feeding you every little thing. Like, it leaves you with something to think about. What other part like really like impressed you?
The deer. I didn't expect that at the end. I don't think I saw was like the deer was moving. I'm like, oh fuck, someone's gonna get kicked over. And the fucking last photo, I was like, oh.
That's like it's funny too.
It's like, how you say, what's called
dark comedy
or dark humor, pretty much.
Black comedy.
Black comedy. There we go. And there's some of it in it too, which I'm like, they're just those perfect moments that it makes you laugh, even though it's sad. It makes you laugh, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's like let me see. I'm trying to think of it. I don't know what it is.
What are you trying to think of?
I don't know. It's been a while.
Was it a movie or?
I think it was a movie.
I don't know.
It's been a while.
Well, if you think about it, but like it's like I like that too. Like this game, when you look at it initially, you think, what are the words that come to your mind? Like sad, depressing, death, miserable. But like I do have to stress that this game is really entertaining. Like despite it having some like really like devastating content to it, it
just gets you. Like, sometimes you play other games, you're like, oh, I just want to take a break. This, you just want to keep continuing because each story just gets better and better, more satisfying.
Yeah.
Like the brothers, one wanted to be an astronaut, the other one went to the military and retired.
Yeah.
The astronaut part, I was like, right away. Yeah, he flew off the swing to his death. I was like, no, right away when you're like just swinging, I'm like, oh fuck, I know what's gonna happen right away. You just know what's gonna happen, but you didn't know how bad it was gonna happen. And it just gets crazy because like he started fucking like going around the fucking tree branch. I was like, what the fuck? And literally just like
yeah, the irony. That's another thing too. Like irony. It's all about how like a dramatic irony where some of these characters, it's like we know that they will die. And like the kid that's like on the swing wants to be an astronaut and he wants to fly. And how does he die? He flies. He flies off the fucking swing into the rocks below and probably like bashes his fucking head against one of them and dies. And he's like a fucking like 11-year-old kid. And then same with the one that has like the kite. It's like he didn't want to join the wedding ceremony. He even like flipped off. Like that's not a funny part. He like flips off his dad getting married to like the second mom. But he stays outside with his kite, and what happens? He dies. Like, he gets, like, whooshed up in the storm because he wanted to stay outside and fly his kite. Like, a lot of these characters die, like, through, like, not only, like, their own, like unfortunate circumstances, like, their own desires is, like, what they want. Yeah.
And like, the one with... So, there's a part in the game where it's the baby in the bathtub.
Oh, God, are we doing that?
And so, obviously... he's having fun, like, I always says we're kids, we all have our imaginations. Like, my little brother, when he was a kid, he'll always talk to himself or, like, talk to, his, toys and stuff. Yeah. So, obviously, you see little frog just jumping around in the well, and here comes the mom, and she always unplugs so the water can go away, and she gets a phone call. So, throughout the whole thing, I noticed that she's going through a divorce and leaves the baby unattended. Then there goes a frog, and... accidentally, or pretty much you do, turn on the water. And so here comes the song playing again, which is the Nutcracker, which I love. I think it was really good set.
What is it? I think it's Dance of the Flowers.
Dance of the Flowers, and I'm like, right away I just like, he's gonna fucking drown.
Yeah. He's
gonna fucking drown, and he's gonna drown. I was like. Then you just see him having fun and the water keep rising. I'm like, oh crap. And throughout the whole time I was like, I think I killed the baby.
Well, no, it's not that you killed the baby. It's like the baby killed itself in a way.
Somehow.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole situation with like the mom keeps getting distracted by the dad the ex-husband calling. and the baby's left unattended, and the baby like throws up the toy and it knocks the faucet, and then it fills the bathtub and the baby drowns.
Isn't the ex-husband the guy who got hit by a deer?
Yeah, it's Sam. It's the one that gets knocked off the cliff by the deer. But I love, like, that's another thing too about this, is that I don't think like the score of the game, like the actual like original music composed for it, is like really all that memorable. Like, it's good music, but it doesn't have the memorability of something like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, or like examples from this are like Persona 5 or Cuphead or anything like that, or Pyre. But because it relies somewhat on established music as well. Like, they have those incidents where, like, you know, they get the Nutcracker theme, which I still like. I guess like the reason they do that is because it's like a very like innocent, playful music, and they do it, but I just don't understand why they spent the money to get the license to use the Nutcracker instead of just composing their own score for it. Which, that, like, if anyone from Annapurna or anyone from Giant Sparrow ever listens to this, and I'm gonna try my best to like spread the word to Giant Sparrow, because I want this question answered. Like, why did they use the Nutcracker for this segment?
He's been trying to ask this question for like months now.
Well, not months. It was just that one time that I played through it again, and I was like, I want to know why they used the Nutcracker.
You've been thinking about it for months because you still haven't gotten the answer, and until now you're still talking about it.
I'm still talking about it. Like, I want to know why they used the Nutcracker, which I think it's a great choice. I think it's an amazing choice. I love it, but I want to know why. Beyond that, it's a very, like, you know, simple, innocent tune, which, I mean, you could have composed an original song for that, but whatever. But yeah, that was one of the ones that some of these stories are funny, like in a very like bitter, ironic way. Some of them are very confusing and ambiguous, and some of them are just straight up sad. And this is one of the ones that's like really fucking sad. Like, it like the first time that I played that bit where like the baby, when I realized like what was going to happen, I was like, oh no. And the baby, like, it doesn't, like, you don't, that's the thing too, like, you don't hear it drown. You see it like swim into like this ocean with its toys, and it goes down the drain. And it's like, oh, well, I know what happens, but fuck, that's, ay, ay, ay.
Another one that was interesting was her brother, where he thought he lived in a fantasy.
Yeah, that's the best one.
I think that's the last one, right?
That's the last one.
That's the last one. Where her brother thinks he lives in a fantasy world where he's like the true chosen, like, what was it, king? I think at the end of the game, and he just loses himself from reality, and he just lives through this video game. Well, I think it talks about him going through it like, what, a therapist, psychiatrist,
drug withdrawal.
Drug withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I told you, right until we went to that bell, it was like a stoner room.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. But it was just interesting where, like, you know, he's working, but he's losing his like mind through like another reality where he just like loses sidetrack of what's going on and just thinks of that.
Yeah.
And what do you want to add to it?
It's we don't know what causes it. Like, there's an assumption that because he's going through like drug withdrawal with like the weed and everything, that he's trying to wean off of that and get a job at the cannery. Like, he just grows bored, and like I think that really that there's a great video out there by Super Bunny Hop that's all about that level. And he's absolutely right when he says, like, that level is, like, one of the best ones I've ever seen. Because, especially if you play it with a mouse and keyboard, you have to, like, move the mouse to simulate picking up the fish, chopping it, and then throwing it on the conveyor belt. And you have to keep doing that while you're using wads in order to move the character around in this, like, fantasy world of his. And I don't know how that would play out on a controller. Like, I've never tested it before because I don't want that experience diluted for me with a controller. Like, I really do think Edith Finch is best played on PC. Like not only just like aside from the graphic stuff, aside from the frame rate stuff, as far as like physical gameplay input, I think the PC version is the best one, because you have to use the mouse in order to like manipulate stuff, and it really adds to the sense of immersion going through this house and unlocking all the secret passages that they got, and you got to use the motion for the mouse to do it. And you do it too with Lewis's story where he's doing the throwing the fish. You got to like grab it, chop the head off, throw the fish, grab it, chop the head off, throw the fish. And it becomes like this monotonous thing, and it starts to like fuck with you and pull you into like the monotony of it. And like that's completely relatable for anyone that's ever had like a menial job doing like the most mundane, boring stuff. It's like you have to think about something else just so you aren't going fucking nuts. You have to kind of like lose yourself in this fantasy. But the sad part about Lewis is that he becomes obsessed with it to the point of he doesn't want to live in the real world anymore. And yeah, we don't know whether or not he
Got chopped.
well, that's the thing. We don't know if he committed I think he committed suicide.
That's what I think too.
Yeah, because you have to like stick your head in that fucking conveyor belt and like cut your own head off via that. Like he finally just snaps and commits suicide.
No, I love it towards the end of the game where he's about to get like his head cut off. You see little facts throughout the story. Remember I told you? You're like, I didn't see that.
Yeah, when they're going into the
Where he's about to be crowned king.
yeah.
And you look around and you see like the little details, like, oh look, it's from this and this is from that.
Mm-hmm.
Just towards the end and put the crown on him in.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, it's crazy how that happens. That's like the best story, and they spoiled it. They fucking spoiled it in like a write-up on the PlayStation blog. And I'm so happy I didn't read that, because they gave away like the best level in the game. And I was so pissed when I found that out. I was like, fuck. But as far as Edith's story goes, like Edith and Edie are like two of the most interesting characters in this, with the great grandma who's been alive for so long, and the fact that she almost sees like the thing is with this story is that they keep saying that there is some kind of curse with this family. And another cool thing is you never really find out whether they're actually cursed or not. It's always maybe. They never fully reveal their hand again. It always leaves it up to your imagination whether or not they just have a really bad case of, luck, or if it really is a curse, or if it's some kind of supernatural entity at work or whatever. It's something, but they never tell you what it is. And they very easily could have, like with that story with Edith or Edie at the end, where you play as Edith when she's young, when they're like that final night they're gonna leave the house. So you walk through, and the great grandma is like so insistent on like, hey, you need to learn our story, our family history, and Edith is about to find out like this like final story from her great grandma. And the mom comes in, and the mom like rips away the book, and you never find out what happens. Which I think like a lot of people found that really unsatisfying. A lot of people don't like the ending of this game, and I can see why, because it is unsatisfying in a sense that you never find out like the big mysteries. But I like that. I like that they never tell you some of these things, because that keeps that aura of mystery to it. And you'll be thinking about it for a lot longer if you don't have a definitive answer to things. And that's the way life goes sometimes. Life doesn't always give you the answers that you want, and you're just stuck thinking about it for the remainder of your life. And that's what happens with Edie in this, and Edith. But as far as I forgot about Walter, the guy that was in the bunker. And he comes out, and he's
been there for how long? 30 years?
30 years. He comes out, and he gets hit by a train. Very first thing, he's like, "Oh, I'm ready to live." And then
and the irony about it is that he has like he has like a toy train in the bunker, just going around.
Does he?
Yeah, you didn't see that? He has a train. He has like a whole collection of trains right there. He has like a little train set right there.
Oh shit! Okay.
You didn't see that?
No.
Like I thought this game has a little bit of irony in it. You guys see like the little points in there.
Foreshadow.
Okay. All
right.
Because the only thing he did for 30 years at the same time was just like open peaches, eat it, and once like he says he's done, you can, if you take a quick look behind you, it's right there.
Yeah.
And even when you're playing as Ida, it's right there in front of her as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, you get saved by a fucking train.
Exactly.
I was like, what the hell? It's I was like, holy shit. And after that, once you're walking towards the train, it's gone. The what was it? The path of the train is gone.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I was like, okay, irony. I see this. It says there's all this crazy shit in this game. I'm like, what's next? And what was it?
They connect to what's the Unfinished Swan as well, with Milton's story, where he is he's like the most mysterious quote death out of all of them, because he doesn't actually die. You never really know. He just disappears one day. And when you go to that hut that is themed after the Unfinished Swan, you can do the flip book, and he paints the door, and he just leaps through it. He never comes back.
Limbo.
Man, Limbo, yeah. Something happened to that kid, and we never find out what. That's great. I love that. Another nice little nugget of mystery in there. I'll tell you what, man. There's two spots in this game that like get me really emotional. I guess we'll go into that. Like, besides the baby, which that's the obvious one. The part that like really gets me, like one of the big ones, is that after the Walter story and like you're first walking out of the tunnel, and Edith starts to kind of reminisce, because you don't know who is, like, because they present this like somebody is reading this journal at the very beginning of the game, and they have flowers, and you don't really know who this person is, and you don't really find out until the very end that it's Edith's son. And the thing is, this whole story revolves around Edith coming back to this family home after her mom has died, and uncovering all these secrets and writing them down in this journal so she can pass them on to her own child. And the thing that really gets me too, like, one, I think when she first steps out of the tunnel and she sees like the sky, it's like it's night, and there's like the ocean, there's like a little town in the background, and atmospherically it's fucking incredible. And she starts to walk, and like the little like lights start to like light up along her path, and she starts to kind of reminisce about, she doesn't really understand like what's going on, and she perfectly illustrates like this mentality of kind of like being lost in the world and not really knowing, like being so overwhelmed by the mystery of the universe, like the concepts of like death and like whether or not this family really is cursed, and the fact that like she's contemplating too, maybe she shouldn't even share this family history with her son. Like maybe she shouldn't even do that. Like just not have this concept of a curse in the mind of her kid, and she starts to contemplate it, and that really got me. Like I didn't like cry or anything during that part, but it's like just emotionally it was like, wow, like that's really the way they hit those beats with her contemplating this all, backed by this beautiful music, backed by this beautiful scenery. It was just like, wow, that's something. That's really great. Do you have any parts that got you like really emotionally, besides the baby, obviously? Like, you have to think.
I would think about it. Actually, I really have to think about it, because I know the baby one got me.
Yeah.
The ending, I kind of figured that one out by myself.
Okay. See, I didn't know.
So I figured that one out by myself, which I'm like, okay, so this is kind of happening. This is what she thinks. Okay, I got this part. Yeah. It was just the baby part. That was the only one that surprised me the most. Yeah. Nothing else did.
Yeah.
That was just the most. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the very ending, like, gets me very emotional. Like, the first time I played, I'm actually glad you left that day. I'm very glad you left. Because, like, the way this, like, Mario and I first experienced this, I had bought it. He watched me play it. He had to leave before the Lewis part, the final story, which, of course, you had to leave right before the best level of the game.
I had work.
I know you had work, but still. That was bullshit. So you had to leave right before the best part. And then after Edie's final story, where, you know, they show what happened on the night that they left, and finally, like, the mom was like, fuck it. Because the mom is the character that seals up the rooms in the house. Because she doesn't want her children, like, seeing these, like, past... Like, the Edie, the great-grandma, kind of, like, doesn't mind talking about death, doesn't mind showing it as, like a memorial. Dawn, Edith's mom, just kind of wants to forget about it. Like, just seal the rooms. Don't want to deal with that. And Dawn takes Edith away from Edie, and Edie presumably, like, either dies or disappears. I'm assuming she dies, because they said they're gonna, when the people came to take her to the nursing home, that she was just gone already. They don't say died, they say gone, but, you know, you can imply, like, two things from that. Again, a nice nugget of mystery. And the way Dawn works is that there's that bit at the end where you're controlling Edith's hand, and all you're doing is, like, doing a couple things. You're doing, because, like, they say that, like, Edith and Dawn moved around a lot, like, and you can control Edith's hand, like out the car, and she's doing like a wave thing with her hand. And then there's the part where, like, she has the what do you call those flowers where you, like, blow on them and, like, the white shit comes out?
Dandelions?
Is it dandelions?
Yeah, I think so.
Dandelions. Where you blow on them and, like, the white spores or whatever the fuck they're called come out, and you can control that, and, like, it tells you that Edith's mom, like, gets sicker and sicker, and the part where, like, the final part where, as Edith, you have to, like, take that fucking mouse out, like, outside the game. You have to take your mouse and, like, move it couple inches to, like, the left, and it simulates you, like, putting Edith, like, reaching out and holding hands with her mom as she's, like, dying in the hospital. And you can see she's in the hospital because, like, you could hear the heart monitor in the background. You can hear the beep beep, and Dawn's mom, or I'm sorry, Dawn is, like, in the hospital gown. She's got, like, the tag on her, and, like, in that moment of Edith comforting her mom as she dies, I'm telling you, man, that, like, got me fucking sobbing at the end. Like, I literally, like, I've never done this before with a game, and I'm getting kind of, like, misty-eyed thinking about it, but I've never had that happen before in a game. I've had that happen with movies. I've had that happen with TV shows. I've never had that happen with a game before. And I've teared up before during games. I'll tell you, like, Last of Us.
I've seen them.
Yeah, you've seen me. Like, Last of Us, when Joel's daughter dies at the beginning. Yeah, sad. Kingdom Hearts 2, Roxas has to go back into Sora. Sad. Teared up. Or, like, the bit where Sora has to say goodbye to Hayner Pensolette, and it's, like, Roxas inside of Sora, like he gets tears coming out. That makes me teary-eyed. Titanfall 2, which the ending of that makes me tear up every time. Yeah, there's a number of things, but Final Fantasy 7, of course. But, like, this is the very first one that I'm just, like, full out, like, sobbing. Like, and I think about death a lot. Like, I do. Like, more recently I do. And I think about it in the sense that one day, and this is, like, a completely unavoidable thing, one day we will all just, like, perish and be gone. And what scares me the most is, like, I have no idea whether or not after I die whether I will see the people that I care about again, like even more than losing them, because I know that will happen. I've accepted that. Like, they will die. All the people that I love will eventually die. Like my mom, my grandma, my cousins, my friends, everyone. They'll die. But like I said, what scares me more is whether or not I'll actually see them again. Like, death being that mystery. And I think that's really what makes me so I relate to Edith Finch so much, like, recently now, is because I think about it and I think like how scary of a concept it is. Like, literally, dude, I'll wake up in the morning sometimes and like that thought will like hit me like a fucking punch to the brain. It'll be like, you are going to die one day in the future and there's nothing you can do about it. And that scares the hell out of me when I think about that.
I got over that concept years ago.
Did you?
I got that concept over years ago after like a couple family members of mine died. So I used to think about that every morning. But at the end, I just told myself, you know what? If I want to die, I just live my life like how it is. Like, you know, be there for my little brother, be there for my mom and dad. Doesn't really matter. Just be there for my little cousins.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, if you know that, you know, you've accepted death, you know, at least try to make everyone else's life easier for them.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, sometimes I've seen people that are like, oh, they're going to die, your life's going to be bad. I'm like, that's not how you want to be remembered for.
No.
You want to be remembered for that person that's like, you've helped them and, you know, they've been successful. And if you die, you know, they'll remember for who you are. Not for like being an asshole or doing this. Like, they know, you know, it was you. You know, you've been there for them. And obviously they'll be there no matter what. They'll think about you.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. It's like I'm not afraid whether or not like I know people will die, but like death itself is like such a weird enigma. Like, it's like a natural part of life, but it's like the great unknown. Like this completely unknown abyss, and you don't know what happened. Like, no one knows. No one that's ever died has ever come back to tell anyone what happens when they die. And that's scary. Like, to me, I don't think it's scary like right now. Like, I know it's scary, but the feeling will still sometimes come back to me. And in a sense, I think Edith Finch is very comforting. Like I said, say what you will about it, where, you know, death, depressing, whatever. It's a very comforting game because it does have that message of, you know, like you can hear Edith say it when she's giving birth and you're in the womb, like from the perspective of her son coming out, and you hear it like, you know, hey, like, you know, like it's, I'm just glad I had the chance to experience this like strange, weird, wonderful thing. And she's like referring to life, and she's like the weirdest, the thing that amazes me the most about life is just how strange all of this is. And like that is something I like completely identify with, and I love that. And well, to get even more personal, I guess, if we're going there, my mom has a disease as well. It's not it's not fatal, thankfully, but I do think about it. And whenever I see anything with like a mom has like a disease or something and she dies, like that part too, like really just like kicks me in the fucking balls whenever I think about that. Like, and Edith, like the courage that must take for Edith to like reach out and comfort someone as they die, particularly like someone close to them. That courage, like, really just like got me weepy. Like, just Jesus Christ, like I can't even imagine that. I cannot imagine that. Like, and I've had close family members die, but I've never had anything like super super close. Like the person that gave birth to me, never have experienced that. So And then the revelation, of course, that it's her son, which, by that point, I wasn't really surprised that that's who it was. And Edith, of course, dies. She dies during childbirth. And that's pretty much, yeah, it's like 2-hour game. 2 hours. It's short, but it's great. Doesn't outstay its welcome. Gets in, gets out. It's done. It's like a short little thing. It's awesome. And I love it. And it's like probably the most like thematically interesting game I've ever played. Like years from now I will still be thinking about it. Like is there anything about the game that you have problems with? Any kind of like flaws or anything?
No.
No?
No.
Oh. I felt the ending could have been a little bit longer. Just a little bit. Not enough to say like what the answers to the mysteries are, but like enough, like it's like a little bit, like the part with like her son felt a little rushed because like the son is there and he puts flowers on in his mom's grave and like the camera like pans up and it shows the house and it's like, all right, that's a decent ending, but it's like it could have been a little bit longer. Maybe have the son go into the house. Maybe do that.
Talk.
Mm-mm.
Not talk? Want to ruin it?
I don't think talk. Like, he doesn't need to talk. He just needs to maybe walk into the house as Edith is narrating it.
Walk into the house. See the little...
Well, sees the music box, which that was really cool. Like, doing that music box is the key. I love that. But yeah, that's what remains of Edith Finch. That's the Spoilercast. Yeah, I love the game. It's pretty amazing. I'd recommend it to like pretty much anyone that I know, even people that like don't usually like walking simulators. I think this is one that's like, this is something special. People need to play this. So, final thoughts from you, Mario?
You have to play it. If you're the type of person like you love a good story, yes, and you want to interact into it, this is the game. Like, I guess some people have tried to do the same, but it's nothing compared to this. This will get you, and you will be hooked onto it. And like, I've done it with friends. We've seen them play. They just play through the whole thing. They don't stop. They don't even take a break. They just literally play through the whole game. They just want to finish it.
Yeah.
Like, that's how hooked it gets on you. You just want to play. You just want to finish the story. You want to see what's next. And if you're the type of person that likes that, then you got to play this.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So, thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you for bearing through one of the more somber podcasts I've ever done. I'm so glad we're doing a nice happy one after this. Nice joyful one. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one, everyone. Take care.